I'm accustomed to working alone. So recently, in my studio, when I became aware of another sort of presence, it took me a while to acknowledge the fact. Set against the light of a large window, Elizabeth observed me. What is she thinking? Elizabeth was the daughter of a surgeon. She died at 4 years old, and a memorial window was made in her honor. Her face is no artist's invention, but a life portrait common to memorial windows. It's both bland and intense. It's a child's face, but for nearly a century, she's been staring out of her window. Gradually, perhaps out of courtesy, I found myself falling into conversation with her. Age and neglect had brought her to near physical collapse as she spent some years in a dark basement where I rescued her. Our conversation began with trivia. I said that her high-button shoes reminded me of yellowing photos in my grandmother's album. She observed that the works in progress in my studio, I'm a designer of stained glass, have no pictures. I acknowledged that this was so. I explained that as a young artist, I'd once been inside Sainte-Chapelle in Paris on a stormy day. Strong sun touched the windows, kindling them into a blaze of reds and whites. These were projected onto the floor and colored all of the interior of the intimate chapel. Moment by moment, swiftly passing clouds quenched the sun, and the windows were transformed into a smoldering blue. The air around me pulsed with this rising and falling of color, like music. Since then, I have tried to recapture that presence in my own work. Elizabeth's eyes and lips are painted vitreous enamel in subtle colors fused to the surface of the glass. She has a lifelike appearance thanks to skillful executed techniques. To assure her of my knowledge of craftsmanship, I pointed out to Elizabeth how the intricate lead patterns in the field of lilies surrounding her supports her figure. I suddenly became aware of her cold silence. I paused. She quickly let me know that I was doing all the talking. She didn't like small talk, compliments, or tactical observations that depersonalized her. She also resented me talking down to her as if she were a child. If we were to have a dialogue, I must be quiet sometimes and listen to her. Then she said something that surprised me. "You're hiding something from me." What had I to hide from her? Then I remembered a single slide in my lecture on stained glass. It's of a window in her style. I include it because it's so ugly. It illustrates how opalescent picture windows clamor for attention. They often have no unifying color and give muddy interior light. I've never liked them. I agreed to restore Elizabeth only on a whim. Guiltily, I move away from her penetrating gaze. Around the beginning of our present century, Tiffany and Art Nouveau style of the opalescent window took America and Europe by storm. They were exuberant displays of technique, suitable not only to churches but to office buildings, restaurants, and fine houses of the day. Such windows still grace stairwells of large Victorian houses. They imitate the pictorial effect of paintings through the use of milky-colored glass. Painted enamel colors, tones, and linear perspective contribute to the window's impression of space. Though some examples, like Elizabeth, are very fine, their style is more characterized by novelty and aesthetic decadence. The opalescent glass artist preferred large pieces of glass to paint upon. Lead structure was regarded as a nuisance, though necessary to hold the window together. It was minimized. Elizabeth's figure is a perfect example of this. Her face, hair, and shoulders are one piece of painted and etched glass. The rest of her midsection, and the bottom of her skirt are two other pieces of glass. Her boots are separate pieces. These types of windows push the technical limitations of the medium to the breaking point. Many have fallen apart. Those that survive require frequent renovation. Shocks like the sudden impression of wind against the brittle glass are absorbed by the soft lead. Large pieces of glass, as in Elizabeth's case, stressed and weakened the leads supporting them. Many lead joints around her had broken. I resoldered them and strengthened the lead supporting her. With proper care, she should be witness to another century. There I go again, talking too much, dwelling on technical and aesthetic problems to evade my uncertain feelings about her. I attribute the coldness in the studio to my lack of fuel. I'm stooped down to feed my wood stove. I continue keeping my back turned against her relentless gaze, for I know she would interrupt me. European cathedral windows of the 12th and 13th century represent the high point of stained glass. Some examples of unsurpassed beauty have survived more than 1,000 years. Their pictures are composed of small pieces of colored glass, set into a structural matrix of lead and steel. Painting is subordinate as the leads are designed to be the linear outline. Essential elements of structure provide a rich black contrast to the light animated glass. Windows of this style never shout for attention. They harmonize with the interior cathedral setting to produce a heavenly light. It is this abstraction of light and color that people talk about when they mention Chartres Cathedral. Elizabeth airily dismisses my passion for aesthetics. She pooh-poohs my concern with structure. She manages, as aristocrats do, without seeming to display insult or bad manners, to say that I am prejudiced. She doesn't care for dark, old church windows, techniques, or the limitations of my knowledge. She won't be ignored. She demands that I like her as she is. Art comes to us as a surprise and provokes us. It strikes a relationship between the object and the viewer, as between Elizabeth and me. Art tests what we confidently know, as a child tests an inflated balloon with a pin. Art is as much in the warm emotional pictures and stories that Elizabeth tells as it is in the perfection of structure and color of past centuries that I understand and emulate. Elizabeth, as a picture, portrays art's timeless eloquence. That wins the argument. When our conversations are over, she will take up her residence at the Newton Wellesley Hospital Library. I will miss her